Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jason of New Age Revolution Cave. And I do declare it's the moment we've all been waiting for. The moment I've been waiting for since starting wrestling with the past, since going through the plethora of DVDs that I have. We have come to the first Saturday night's main event, folks. That's right, the first Saturday night's main event, May 11th, 1985. And, you know, this event really has to be in the top 3 highlights of childhood. Honestly, I mean, I know that seems like a lot, but it's true. You know, being such the wrestling fan that I was growing up, Saturday night's main event was just different and special. I mean, when it airs in 85, we don't have pay-per-views yet. You know, we had WrestleMania, but, you know, barely anybody got WrestleMania on pay-per-view. Barely anybody had pay-per-view. Many didn't have cable. So, you know, we were used to getting really lucky and catching the occasional house show, the MSG house show in my area, Philly for some, Boston for some, you know, Capitol Center for some, in Washington, or Maryland. And we were used to our Saturday morning squash matches, right? And magazines, you know, reading magazines, seeing pictures of good matches, but never really seeing great matches. Coliseum Home Video introduced us to some great matches, but this was the first time that we got to sit in our house and watch main event wrestling. You'd think that would be enough. You'd think that would be what puts it over. But what put it over for us, children of the 80s, 9 years old I'm 8 years old on May 11th, 1985. I haven't turned 9 yet. I have not turned 9 yet. I am 8 years old. Right? Yeah, I'm 8 years old. I'm 15 days away from 9. May 11th, 1985. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna sit around and at lunchtime and watch our wrestling? No, folks. We're going deep into the night because Saturday night's main event aired at 11:30 p.m. on NBC in place of Saturday Night Live. So not only is the 8-year-old going to push himself beyond the limits of sleep, beyond the limits of a parental set bedtime, and I'm going to be up until 1 a.m. watching wrestling. This is unheard of, folks. This is unprecedented. You know that it was a massive deal to stay up late back in the 80s when we were kids. Doesn't seem like that massive of a deal today to my kids, but back then you know that that was a big deal, and we got to do it. So how would you know that Saturday night's main event existed? Well, you wouldn't find out from TV, from what I'm discovering. They have not announced it at all. They did announce this weekend a very special Piper's Pit from the Rosemont Horizon. Mr. Piper will have Paul Orndorff in his pit. That's it. No, Saturday night's main event, folks, is coming this Saturday night. You know how you watch Saturday Night Live? Tune in. Forget that, because it's going to be Saturday night's main event. They didn't do that. Could you imagine that not happening today, where they don't announce this massive new show? It's absurd. So you had to find out from the TV guide. And this one is barely holding on. This TV guide is barely holding on, but there it is. There's the first ever ad for Saturday night's main event. We have Wendy Richter versus the Fabulous Moolah. We have Sheik Volkov and a returning George the Animal Steel taking on Wyndham Rotundo and Ricky Steamboat. Cowboy Bob Orton takes on Hulk Hogan in the main event. We've got Junkyard Dog against Pete Doherty. And then we have the Piper's Pit with Paul Orndorff. Now, let me catch you up a little bit on what's been going on in the happenings of the WWF. Paul Orndorff fought Hulk Hogan at a Philly house show in May. And while Orndorff did not wrestle as a good guy at all, he did not overly perform as a bad guy either. He pretty much kept his head down the whole match and did not, you know, work the crowd or anything like that. At the end of the match, I mean, Hogan beats him, and at the end of the match, Orndorff offers a handshake. The crowd goes absolutely nuts. Hogan is doing the whole, you know, shake. And then Hogan has the best reaction ever. Hogan's holding his heart, like, whoa. And he's like, Paul Orndorff leaves, and you know how Hogan just oversells to the crowd. He's like, you know, Hogan is just overselling this. Paul Orndorff just shook his hand. They're not friends, nothing yet. Hogan just shook his hand. That's all. Crowd loves it. Crowd is really behind Orndorff. That was the card that had a tag team battle royal. So every match on the card, aside from Hogan and Orndorff, was a tag team match. And then all those tag teams came back together for a battle royal, which if one of your if your partner was eliminated, you were eliminated. So Ricky Steamboat and Jimmy Snuka won that match, won that battle royal. No real debuts since our last Wrestling with the Past. Nothing really major happening. Wendy Richter is still kind of floating around in outer space. They're not really acknowledged. You know, they did this whole rock and wrestling massive thing, and, you know, Wendy Richter in the Women's Championship is just like, not really hanging out. Haven't heard much from Mr. T since WrestleMania. Sheik and Volkov are still tag team champions. Greg Valentine's still Intercontinental Champion. They're teaming Valentine and Beefcake a great deal now. And that's pretty much it. George Steele did return, and we talked about that. George Steele returned on a Championship Wrestling episode as a bad guy to team with Sheik and Volkov. But that will change, I have a feeling, on Saturday night's main event. We'll see. So we're going to check out the restored Saturday's main event number 1 for my friend Colin in Canada. And let's do it. Let's fire up Saturday night's main event, May 11th, 1985, from the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, Illinois. Let's do that now. All right, here we go, folks. We're starting things off right before the show even goes to credits. We've got Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter. Cyndi Lauper is giving her wrestling advice right now. And Wendy's just like, yeah, okay. And Cindy's like, okay, now make sure you keep a strong core. Don't let it get to your hair. Don't let it pull your hair. Okay, Cyndi, thank you. And I got a feeling that this is going to blast right into some pilot episode credits of Saturday night's main event. All right, from Lauper to Richter to Hogan to T. It looks like Mr. T will be in the corner tonight of Hulk Hogan. And look at those fantastic Saturday night's main event tank tops. Love that. All right, here's something I didn't notice. Hogan and Mr. T are introducing the show, but look who's in the background. Salvatore Bellomo walking back to the ring there. So Salvatore Bellomo was in a job match on the first ever Saturday night's main event. Because remember, it was a, hang on, let me spin you. Remember, it was a house show. Really, I mean, it was a full house show with, you know, 4 job matches and 4 TV main event matches, I guess. So that's what said, I guess, and that's probably what it was all the time for every Saturday night's main event. You know, they're not just going to give you an hour-and-a-half house show, a 90-minute house show. So they got other matches. So, all right, Hogan is just about to give us the intro for tonight on Saturday night's main event, and then I'm going to see what kind of music they're playing. Do they kick things off with the, what is it, Animotion? Dan, 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 dan. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, so I was completely wrong in the beginning. It's the Nassau County Coliseum, not the Rosemont Horizon. My bad. But yes, it does kick right into the same Saturday night's main event intro that we have always been used to. Same song, same font, same graphics, same everything, where they show clips of the wrestlers who are going to be on the card. So they showed, you know, Hogan, they showed Orndorff and Orton, they showed Wendy Richter, they showed Junkyard Dog, they didn't show Pete Doherty. But yeah, it's the same intro, same everything that it's always been. Now I'm going to watch the first match. All right, up first is the 6-man tag team match. There you see Wyndham, Rotundo, and Steamboat. They're going to be taking on Sheik, Volkov, and George the Animal Steel. Mean Gene doing the honors. We also have a Cyndi Lauper's Mother's Day celebration tonight on Saturday night's main event. All right, first match is about to take place, and I had to stop and show you this graphic, because does that just, I mean, imagine it's 11:30 at night, it's a Saturday night, you're pushing yourself to stay up, you've had some snacks, you talk to your friend on the phone, and you got this awesome graphic just blasting you in the face that says, you know, this is big time, folks. You're about to be extremely entertained as an 8-year-old. This is huge. I love this. All right, real quick thing to point out, and I'll show you here in a minute. The Saturday night's main event ring skirt is, I think, the one and only time they use this very generic looking version of the skirt. I don't think we've ever seen this again after tonight, but the 6-man match is, you know, doing what you'd expect it to. The good guys are taking over early in the beginning. George the Animal Steel kind of hard to control in a tag team match, as Vince and Jesse point out that this is only the second time they've ever seen George Steele in a tag team match. So let me show you the ring skirt real quick here. Yeah, there you can see it. It's on a white sheet, and it's very generic, like I said, and I don't think we ever see this again. And it only takes up like 2/3 of the ring. Only in the middle there, you can see the ends of the ring skirt are still exposed, the blue. So I don't know what they were doing with this, but I think the next one we have the black with the regular Saturday Night's Main Event logo that we're used to. So just little things like that to point out. Why is the TV doing that? Wow, that's weird. Okay, so match one, great match. I mean, short but good. I mean, look, you got Wyndham, Rotundo, and Steamboat. You got 3 of the best wrestlers at the time, with Sheik and Volkov, who are always great, and George the Animal Steel, who really isn't even in the match until the very end. All good guys in this match. They tag Steel in, and him and Wyndham throw a few punches at each other, and Wyndham doesn't back down from George Steele's punches. He doesn't no-sell them, but he just keeps coming back with his own punch. That upsets the animal and confuses him, so he runs to go tag out quickly because, you know, he's not hurting Wyndham, and Sheik and Volkov get down from the apron. They leave the apron, and they're going like this to Steele. So George Steele has no partner. He doesn't know what to do. He's leaning up against the ropes. Wyndham comes up and does a schoolboy for, roll up for the win. And then immediately Wyndham jumps up to go celebrate with his team. George Steele jumps up to go eat a turnbuckle. Immediately after the pin, just goes and eats a turnbuckle. So over my shoulder, they got the good guys celebrating there. And now I believe is when they're going to turn on George Steele, which then reunites Albano and George Steele in quite a beautiful moment. Yes, okay, there you see it. George was inconsolable for a while after getting turned on by his opponents. Sheik and Volkov come in to attack. George Steele fights them off. And then Lou Albano comes in and consoles the big animal. And that begins their partnership going forward. Now we get the famous TNT episode where George Steele learns to talk and says, "How now, brown cow?" Okay, so we had the live Piper's Pit next, and this was fantastic. Fantastic for some comedy sense, fantastic for some intensity. Paul Orndorff, you got Roddy Piper just doing his, over-the-top, overreacting stuff. And Paul Orndorff just doesn't have it as far as talking goes. So Paul Orndorff keeps saying, "Let me tell you something, Piper." And in the beginning, Orton is standing there, and Paul Orndorff stops it and goes, "Hey, Orton." No, he goes, "You listen to me, Ace. Get in the corner, dunce." And like, what? Get in the corner, dunce? So then Piper says, Piper tells Orton to get in the corner. "Please, Mr. Orton, please get in the corner." Piper says something, Orndorff says something, Bob Orton walks back out and comes up to, you know, Orndorff, and Orndorff says, "Go ahead, make my day." And the crowd pops, and I'm like, these are the lamest, like, lines ever. Get in the corner, dunce. Piper is, you know, he's not backing down from Orndorff at all. He's in his face. He's angry. He is, you know, basically calling him a loser. And at one point, Piper just loses it and says, "You know something? I think you're a piece of garbage. You're a real piece of garbage." And Orndorff is like, "What? What'd you call me?" And they go at it. Piper says, "I'm out of here. I'm going to take my ball and go home." Goes to leave, tries to throw the punch. Orndorff blocks it. So he, you know, he's beating up Piper. He's almost got Piper in a pile driver, and then Orton breaks it up, and they double team Orndorff until Mr. T comes out and makes the save. Now, Mr. T does not get in the ring. Mr. T does not get any action. He's just sort of helping up Orndorff and holding him back from getting in the ring. And that will conclude the Piper's Pit. Very good for multiple different reasons. Like I said, comedy and some intensity. Okay, I had to cut in here real quick. Immediately following the Piper's Pit, they have an interview with Hulk Hogan, you know, talking about his thoughts about what he just saw in the Piper's Pit. I think this is taped before the Piper's Pit because Hogan says nothing about the pit. He just says, "You know, that right there is an example of the people that we got to get out of the WWF." Then he goes, "But I'll tell you, man, it's Mother's Day weekend. It's a very special day for my mother, brother." And Mean Gene makes the best face ever because Hogan literally says, "Mother, brother," and that's awesome. All right, they jump right from Piper's Pit to the main event, I guess we would call it. Hulk Hogan taking on Cowboy Bob Orton. Here's Hogan coming down the aisle, as they say, to the beat of Eye of the Tiger, and he'll be taking on Cowboy Bob Orton, who's already in the ring with Rowdy Roddy Piper. I assume at some point Mr. T is going to make an appearance. All right, well, they went to a commercial break, and when they came back, Mr. T was in the ring. And they just did the thing where Hogan rips off T's shirt, T rips off Hogan's shirt, they're doing the high five, and Mr. T looks in fantastic shape, and we've got Mr. T officially in the corner of Hulk Hogan. All right, so far, your standard Hogan match, with the exception of a lot of arm work, obviously. Hogan went to work really early on the arm. The camera doesn't like the Trinitron, so the camera does not like the flat screen TV, but that's okay. So far, so good. I have a feeling Hulk's about to Hulk up right now. It looks like that's what he's getting ready for. One thing to notice, the ring is extremely loud, so I think they have the ring very mic'd up. It almost sounds like a snare drum every time somebody bangs on it, but so far, so great. All right, Hogan and Orton was exactly everything that you would expect it to be. A very good LJN match. Kind of inspired me to have a Hogan-Orton match. Towards the end here, as you can see, well, Hogan pins him clean. And then Piper interferes. And Mr. T comes in and really starts working over Piper, who's absolutely not selling the punches at all, which was frustrating for me to watch. And then they gang up on T, and then Hogan comes back, as you can see, and makes the save. T is recovering there in the corner. Hogan is up. And then they clean house, and they basically just rid the bad guys of the ring. Orton was going for a superplex at one point. Hogan ended up, you know, fighting it off and pushing him off the rope. But I love how McMahon always says, we're going to have a new champion. If Orton hits the superplex, we're going to have a new champion. I love that. It's so early 80s wrestling. I think Vince did it pretty much his whole career. You know, 1, 2, 3, a new champion. Oh, no. But even back then, if Orton hits the superplex, we've got a new world's champion, Cowboy Bob Orton. Oh, I spoke way too soon. It was not just Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. Paul Orndorff slid under the ropes to show his first show of loyalty to Hogan, I would assume cementing the good guy turn. So we'll see on the next upcoming episodes of Championship Wrestling where Orndorff is at. All right, I forgot that this happened right before the Moolah versus Wendy Richter match. We get an interview with Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou. It's awful because they let Cyndi Lauper do all the talking, but they also debut her video for Good Enough, which was from the Goonies. So we get a whole Cyndi Lauper music video here, which features a ton of wrestlers: Sheik, Volkov, Blassie, Piper, Albano. So Cyndi Lauper's Good Enough also debuts on the first Saturday night's main event. Okay, I don't want to be too dramatic, but the Cyndi Lauper Good Enough video is the highlight of Saturday night's main event. By far. This video is incredible. So what they did was they played like the extended, almost 10-minute version of the video that has maybe a 2-3-minute opening skit by the wrestler. So the story is Albano and his wife and Lauper. So Albano's Lauper's father, the mom, and Cyndi Lauper own and Dave Wolf is in it too, own a mom and pop gas station that is going out of, running out of money. So the Iron Sheik and Freddie Blassie and Roddy Piper buy the land, and they're trying to kick Cyndi Lauper's family off the land. And they're all there's a whole opening skit to it, and it's great. And then Cyndi Lauper, while they're moving out of the house, Cyndi Lauper removes a picture from the wall, and there's a hole in the wall which leads to a cave. And then the Goonies show up. The actual kids are in the video. The Goonies interact with the wrestlers. Nikolai Volkov's got like Corey Feldman over his shoulder. It's incredible. It's incredible. I have never seen this version, or at least I'm sure I saw it, but don't remember seeing it. This is not the MTV version. They would play obviously a 2-minute, 3-minute video. They just played the whole 10-minute thing. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's the silliest WWF stuff I've ever seen, but it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Look for it. Look for the original Cyndi Lauper Good Enough video. All right, up next we've got the Women's Championship, Wendy Richter versus the fabulous Moolah. I truly do not remember any of this outcome. I don't know if Moolah... Well, no, Moolah doesn't win the title back because that's Spider-Woman. Yeah, I have no idea what happens here. Well, here's a very alluring, enticing double bicep pose from my grandma. Well, Moolah versus Wendy Richter, and, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who trained these women back in the 80s. But these matches are so bad, and nothing looks crisp or fluid or anything. So, is fluid the right word? Flowing? Whatever. Wendy Richter with an easy, well, not an easy win. Moolah gets some work on Richter, but, Wendy Richter just... pins her clean and beats her. Now, Cyndi Lauper is banned from the ringside, according to a proclamation obtained by Moolah that Howard Finkel reads. So she's literally sitting right in the curtain area watching it on TV, and then as soon as Richter wins, Cyndi Lauper comes rushing down the aisle to celebrate. And some things I notice, the crowd is... Here, I'm going to come up on the couch. The crowd... I don't know what the deal is with adults, because these are adults. These are not children. But the crowd has to touch the wrestlers, and the aisle is so narrow, and there are police flanking the wrestlers, but you see hands everywhere. They're, when Hogan's coming to the ring, they're grabbing his face. They're just touching him. Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter coming down the ring, they are getting molested on their way to the ring. Well, when Cyndi Lauper runs out of the back after the win, she only has one cop with her.
and he's got to sprint with her to keep up. And the crowd, like, she's running fast, but one guy grabs her purse or something, and like Cyndi Lauper shoves him, and then you see the cop, you know, talking to him or beating the hell out of him or whatever happens. I don't know, but what is the deal? Like, what's your problem, adults? These are not children. These are grown men who have to touch people. What is the deal? What's the deal? All right, our final match of the card, we've got the Junkyard Dog taking on Pete Doherty. This is very quick from what I remember. Just a few minutes ago, Junkyard Dog had his mother at the interview area with me and Gene, wishing her a happy Mother's Day. So apparently tomorrow in 1985 is Mother's Day. All right, that was not as quick as I thought. But still, you know, short. Pete Doherty's always entertaining, really over the top, screaming, facials, missing teeth. Entertaining. Junkyard Dog did his Junkyard Dog thing, wins with the power slam. Junkyard Dog's mother was introduced by Howard Finkel as Bertha Ritter, which, there you go. That is the actual last name of the Junkyard Dog. I think we have a Mother's Day, like a Cyndi Lauper Mother's Day thing. Maybe, but this is it. This is the end of the first Saturday night's main event. Good time, good memories. And at about this time, I would have been fading and really having a hard time keeping my eyes open. But we made it through this time. Saturday night's main event, #1 in the books. Good night now.